If I could have everybody please stand, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and good morning again. I'm Brent Gettle. I'm the chair of the board for this year for the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. And again, what we would like to do is get things started with maybe going through our sponsors for this year, and they'll be scrolling on the screens behind me. And we'll start with our legacy sponsor, which is Thumb Bank and Trust. And our premier sponsors for this year is First State Bank, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Chemical Bank, Consumers Energy, Covenant Healthcare, Cumulus Media, DoubleTree by Hilton Bay City Riverfront, the Dow Chemical Company, FinancialEdge Credit Union, Great Lakes Federal Credit Union, Harbor Light Photography, Independent Bank, McLaren Bay Region, Michigan Sugar Company, MLive Media Group, the Bay City Times, Saginaw Valley State University, Spence Brothers, Three Rivers Corporation, Wildfire Credit Union, WNEM TV5, and we also have our community partner sponsorship, which is Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works, and our visionary sponsor, which is Mid-Michigan Health. I would now like to read our event sponsors, which will also be scrolling on the screen here, and that is Asian Noodle, Bangor Township Schools, Bay Area Community Foundation, Bay City Public Schools, Bay County Medical Care Facility, Chemical Bank, Consumers Energy, Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works, Michigan Sugar Company, Mid-Michigan Health, Saginaw Medical Federal Credit Union, Tall Ship Celebration, and Thumb Bank and Trust. And now I would like to introduce Ellen Talbot. She is the Vice President for Patient Care Services and the Chief Nursing Officer for McLaren Bay Region. She is also our Vice Chair this year for Public Affairs, and she'll be kind of setting the stage for the flow of today's event. So I'd like to welcome up Ellen.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Brent. What a beautiful snowy day today, huh? Thank you for coming. We have a great turnout considering the weather, so that's terrific. So I have the privilege of really introducing the format for our program today, and then introducing the speakers. So I'll go ahead and do that. So here's the format that we use that we think works out well, is each of our speakers is allowed 15 minutes for general comments. Jim Barsha, our county executive, will be our first presenter, and then followed by Dana Muscott, our city manager. Question and answer period will take place after Jim's presentation. Audience members are encouraged to write their questions on index cards located at each table and state whether the question is for Dana, for Jim, or for both. Chamber team members will collect the cards after Dana's presentation. So then Mary Coulis will, as she often does, she's the Community Affairs Manager for Consumer Energy. She will be the facilitator for our question and answer period. So that's the format today. And I would like to go ahead and get started by introducing Jim Barsha. Again, our Bay County executive, and I will be inviting him to the stage. And of course, Jim has a very lengthy resume, very impressive resume, so I'll try to hit the highlights. Jim Barsha was born in Bay City and is a lifelong resident of Bay County. He attended Bay City Central High School and then graduated from Saginaw Valley State University in 1974, and he received a degree in public administration. Here's his list of accomplishments. He's served 3 terms as state representative for Bay County, 5 terms in the Michigan Senate, 5 terms in the U.S. Congress for the 5th Congressional District, and in November 2016 was elected as the new Bay County executive. He participates in numerous civic organizations throughout the community. He was elected to the County Executive of America's Board of Directors in 2017 and was also appointed to their National Task Force on Opioid Abuse. Mr. Barsha has an ambitious agenda to help advance our region economically and to improve government services to Bay County residents. So I would invite Jim to the stage.
Thank you very much, Ellen, for that very kind introduction. I know many of the audience members have heard all that before, but I want to tell you how excited I am to be with all of you and a room full of outstanding community leaders. And I come to these State of the Community addresses with the attitude that this is an opportunity for me not only to highlight the past successes at the county level that I think we've made and the progress we're making on some of our more challenging issues, but mostly to look forward to the part of the program where I can hear directly from you, your concerns and your questions. Now, I'll go through a bullet point that I prepared about some of the areas we're working on or have successfully completed in Bay County government, but I do want you to know I could expand probably on each bullet point for 5 minutes, but due to the time constraints and the fact that all of you have come through very inclement weather this morning to be here at this important community annual event, I'm going to be very respectful of Dana's time and my time and keep Ryan from getting out his cane to pull me off the microphone. But Ryan, I want to thank you especially for the invitation this year and in previous years to share with what we're doing at the county level. As you know, since I've become the county executive, we found that our kill rate was very, very high. We're in the lowest 3 or 4 in terms of the high kill rate we had in Michigan. And so we, with the Board of Commissioners, and before I go any further, could all of the elected officials and county staff who are here today, I know we have the chairman and several other, Chairman Duranchek and several other county commissioners with us, as well as our very dedicated cabinet staff and others. Could the county employees be raised and just hopefully be recognized for the role they play? They're an outstanding team. I couldn't be any more fortunate, and without them, we probably wouldn't be able to accomplish much of anything. So, as I mentioned, our Bay County Animal Control and Shelter needed an improvement. We worked for over a year on a best practices plan that would be implemented out at the Bay County Shelter on Livingston Drive off Center. And I was proud that in 2017, the Michigan Pet Fund Alliance awarded us the most improved performance award from their organization with a beautiful plaque and a cash grant to help us with our veterinary expenses for some of the animals that hit by cars or other chronic illness that need a little help to get back on their feet. We also, through no cost to the county government, have employed a community outreach specialist position created at no cost to the general fund. That person is not hired yet, but applications are being taken for a bid process on that. It'll be a contractual. There won't be benefits with it, but it will highlight through social media, through our regular media such as TV5, that is now doing a rotation on our animals. Just last Monday, we had Donnie, one of our hounds, who was at the pound for 4 years. And after TV5 highlighted Donnie for about 7 or 8 months with Liv and Brittany, 2 of our animal control officers, he was adopted the next day. So that's a great success story. I believe the top photo was Ruby, and I don't know what the name of the kitten was, but they're both Bay County Animal Shelter pets. So our health department had a wonderful year in securing recognition. The 2018 Directors Award recipient from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services recognized them for excellence and innovation in public primary health care delivery. We have a number of citizens, even with Obamacare and others, who who simply don't have the means to pay for their health care, nor are they insured, and they're not on Medicaid. So in collaboration with Saginaw Valley State University and healthcare professionals in their programs, master's degree, bachelor's degree students, and pre-med students for the new medical school at CMU, we are able to serve a substantial population with chronic illnesses, everything ranging from hypertension to diabetes, even to mental illness. So we're serving that population, and that in turn has resulted in a 46% reduction of emergency room visits by Bay County residents. So we're pleased with that, and again, a lot of federal and state money in that mix. We have a dental clinic that I mentioned last year to provide dental services to low-income and uninsured patients. We'll have 2 dentists, 6 chairs, 2 dental hygienists, 2 dental assistants, and 1 scheduler administrator. All of those costs will be picked up by the federal and state government at no cost to Bay County taxpayers. And I do want you to know that last year, 1,700 visits for excruciating or very serious dental issues were treated at our emergency room clinics. And so, that's a significant reduction on emergency care, because that is the most expensive care that can be provided. We expect to serve about 3,600 people. We have selected a site out near Center Avenue, but we expect to serve about 3,600 patients a year. Now, declining Bay County property tax revenue due to decreasing population. We've decreased over the last few years from 107,000 down to 105,000, down to 102,000. Our state and federal revenue sharing, our pure pupil funding in the private public schools and the private academies, that's $9,200 base grant going out of the community. So that means layoffs in our school districts. If the Bay City Public Schools loses 100 students, they lose $1 million in their budget. So what we need to do is continue to work with our state and federal officials to explore funding options for Bay City bridges, should the city decide to take that route. And I want to emphasize that the bridge is the city's asset. They are the ones to make the decision. We will stand ready to help and cooperate in any way that we can. But other options the city is looking at and seriously considering, the up and downsides of, are tolls on a couple of our bridges, or 1 bridge, or also a countywide millage to fund bridges. And it goes beyond bridges. I had lunch here at the DoubleTree last Friday for 45 minutes with Paul Lejekba, the new MDOT director. Michigan ranks in per capita spending on roads and bridges and infrastructure. We ranked 46th out of 50. In addition, we are ranked as a D- in terms of the quality of our infrastructure. So it's a huge challenge. It doesn't have to be addressed immediately, but I know the city is ambitious to get started and embarked on that program. That's what I have to say about that. So, proactive approach to technology and safety. We successfully completed a countywide security audit to protect against cyber attacks or anyone that would attempt to hack into our county IT system. We have taken every precaution to make that nearly impossible, and it's an ongoing effort to monitor our IT department so we change up and make more complicated passwords to make it more difficult for someone to get into our system. In addition, we've implemented and completed a capital forecasting software, 20-year forecast for building and site infrastructure needs as a planning and budgeting tool. Now that's important because when you have a roof, you have HVAC, a boiler, or a parking lot go up, those are very expensive items. And you can develop a plan, a long-term plan, that will alert the public, oh, this boiler is about at the end of its life, and you better plan for replacing that boiler once it goes down, or a roof, or an HVAC system. So those are very expensive. Now, I want to mention also on our central dispatch, really credit Chris Zworski for allowing us to be in a consortium of 9 other central dispatch counties, central dispatch agencies from 9 counties. That saves Bay County hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. In addition, it provides a backup system should anything happen to our central dispatch 911 system. Now, we all know that sometimes home invasions occur, or there may be a domestic dispute where a person can't actually call without identifying their location in the home or the business or structure they're in. So we now have the feature to text 911 should you want to keep your location hidden. We prefer a call, but if that's not possible, we can text if you can. We also have Smart 911, which analyzes the house layout, medications you're on, pets that may be in the home. So when a first responder reacts to a fire, other disaster, they will know exactly what they're getting into before they enter the building. Now, economic development, I talked a little bit about supporting our population. As you know, I created a Department on Aging with our County Board of Commissioners to switch from a division on aging to a full Department on Aging. And one of the reasons is we're #1 in the state per capita for people over the age of 25% of our population is over 62. So we have an expanding aging population, aging well population. But we need to retain those millennials and younger here in Bay County for the reasons I cited. So we work closely with, and I'm a proud board member of Bay Future, and they just celebrated last Friday when I was meeting with Paula Jegba, do ribbon cutting on Falcon Industries out in Williams Township, right, Trevor? Great addition. 50, 60 brand new jobs with expansion to come. A pristine, ultra-modern facility that's going to serve Bay County for years to come. Of course, our Bay Area Chamber, which is such an advocate for all that we need to do to improve Bay County. The Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, Michigan Works, Delta College, and Bay Area IST Skilled Trades Program. That's actually a young lady that's a little bit of a ponytail on top. She's a high school student at the Skill Center learning the trade of welding. So very paid, high skilled job. So we need to look at every opportunity we have and be imperative to retaining our younger generation, connecting people with job opportunities and skilled trades, entrepreneurship, and other lucrative fields that offer adequate income and retirement security. Next slide. Supporting our seniors and veterans, I created the Department of Veterans Affairs with the board's vote. Can't do anything without their support. It makes eligible for grant funding, both federal and state, to our department. There's no additional staff, we just switched the name out. But to expand services to our veterans, which comprise about 9,000 of our Bay County men and women who have served in the military. So we have a large population of veterans as well as folks over the age of 62, and so we need to provide the services that they need, and we also provide emergency financial relief and transportation services. Now, the board approved the Department of Veterans Affairs in middle of December, and Craig Collette, our Director of Administrative Services and Military Affairs and Veterans, did receive notice last week. We have been awarded a $76,000 grant to expand services to our Bay County veterans. The other issue I want to talk on that I talked about at length last year was our Department on Aging. It continues to expand. Last year, we served 214,656 meals, both served on mobile meals, as well as our congregate meal sites. In addition, we have a large staff that provides homebound services to those 60 and better. And that could include house chores, helping people get dressed, making sure they're taking their medicines. We need to keep them at home and independent as opposed to being in into assisted living or at a long-term care facility. And with these other services, we have been successful at that. Next slide. So looking ahead, we are in the process in our open finance. Bay County wants to be transparent and open about all of our financial functions. So we have an app that is in our finance department now, actually a program. It's an online financial transparency module that is in the testing phase. And it'll be very simple for the public to access. If you want to know how many employees are in what department, what wages they make, what conferences have they attended, everything will be presented in graph form. So it'll be you won't have to read a spreadsheet. It'll be condensed down for, the average, intermediate school district to be able to understand it once they log on. We received also a grant award, a special kudo to Laura Hogarth, who worked on it so hard. A grant award of $1 million from the federal government to restore 2 historic rock reefs in the Saginaw Bay. And that is crucial because we don't have the habitat anymore. Our fish population is dramatically declining. With these 2 rock reefs, we'll provide the spawning habitat that they need to, lay their eggs, have them develop into fry and small minnows, and give them the protection to get to the size where the other predatory fish won't consume them, and they will thrive in the Saginaw Bay, therefore hopefully enhancing the fishery of the Saginaw Bay. There will be 2 rock reefs, and the construction will start in the spring. And then in addition, we'd like to incorporate and engage our intermediate and maybe high school students or elementary school students to collect the big rock, put their name on it, and drop it over the boat so that it becomes part of the permanent rock reef. Lastly, going green, exploring LED energy savings opportunities and paperless processes. The county has gone paperless. But I do want to mention that last year, our electric bill for Bay County was $766,144. Just for electricity. That's not water and sewer either. Most of that did go to the city of Bay City, which hopefully they appreciate, and about 20% to our moderator, Mary Coulis's Consumers Energy in Jeff May. So we hope by going green we can save the longevity of those bulbs as well as the fraction of energy they consume will help us reduce our spending on the electric portion of our utility bill to all of our county infrastructure. Next slide. Oh, thank you. Ryan, did I go over?
You were very close.
Well, I was close. That's the best I could do. As I said during the question and answer, or if you want to call or email me, I'd be most happy to expound on any of the points I mentioned in PowerPoint. But given we have 2 speakers and we have a great audience, I'm looking forward to the Q&A. Again, I'm blessed. I consider myself blessed to be in a room of so many friends and so many people who go out each and every day making a difference in your professions, your industries, and whether you're business owners or whatever you may be doing. Thank you for having me back, Ryan. Hope I haven't worn out my welcome and look forward to another one next year. But how far did I go over?
Like 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. That's not too bad. Better than the past, right?
Okay, let's move on then to the next speaker. So my privilege to introduce Dana Muscat. Dana works for the City of Bay City as the city manager. She served as the deputy city manager for the City of Bay City for 13 years. She began her employment with the City of Bay City in 2000 as city clerk and was promoted to deputy city manager position in 2004. She worked for Saginaw Charter Township as deputy city clerk prior to coming to Bay City. After attending Michigan State University, Dana obtained her Master Municipal Clerk status in 2005, and in 2014 earned the prestigious Certified Michigan Municipal Clerk status. Dana was elected as president of the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks in 2008 and is also the past president of the Bay County Clerks. Dana is a graduate of Leadership Saginaw County and County Clerks and Great Lakes Bay Regional Leadership Institute. Dana is a certified public manager through Saginaw Valley University and is a graduate of the Henry Marsh Institute for Public Policy at SVSU. She is a member of Bay City Noon Optimists and volunteers for many other organizations. She also serves as a board member for the following: Michigan Municipal Executives, Bay Future, Bay County Convention and Visitors Bureau, Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority Planning Committee, and many more. Dana was the Clerk of the Year through the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks in 2015. Dana's been married for 25 years to Chris and has 2 sons, Cody, age 23, and Connor, age 20. So I would like to invite Dana to the stage.
I would like to start by expressing my appreciation to the Chamber's Board of Directors and to Ryan Tarrant, President and CEO of the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, for this opportunity to share with you the outstanding qualities of the City of Bay City and why I believe I have the best job in Bay City. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our Mayor and City Commissioners who are present. It is with their support, hard work, and dedication to serve that this community continues to grow and prosper. Please hold your applause to the end. Mayor Kathleen Newsham, please stand if you can. 3rd Ward Commissioner Andrew Nazinski, 5th Ward Commissioner Rochelle Hilliker, who is also our Sergeant at Arms. John Davidson, no. 7th Ward Commissioner Carice Basmajian, who is also our President, and 8th Ward Commissioner Ed Clements. I'd also like to acknowledge my family who is in attendance today. You all know I'm a very big family person. My parents, Bob and Debbie Vandevenner, and Jim Mullador. It's right up there. You want to stand? Yes. Making a meaningful difference every day is my greatest motivator. Every day I'm reminded of the important work we're involved in and how we are shaping our city. I'm blessed to work with a team of individuals who care as deeply as I do in delivering effective services, which is energizing, rewarding, and quite frankly, a privilege. I understand that I can't operate the city by myself. We're a team, an incredible and talented team. No one person can do this job alone, but we absolutely can do it together. With that, I want to thank my city staff members. Please stand and be recognized. Come in, please. Bob, don't sit down. This is Bob Dion. He is our DPW director. And I'm pulling him out a little bit because we have a few staff members that report to him. Over the past 3 weeks, we have had approximately 40 staff members that haven't seen their families. They've worked long hours, and I mean very long hours, in the worst part of the snow and ice storms, and have been forced to jump into the holes to repair many broken water mains when wind chill temperatures were near 50 below. They've taken a beating on social media for Mother Nature's wrath on us. Next time you see a plow driver or a water department employee, please say thank you. They appreciate the kind words. Believe me, it would mean the world to them. They all report to Bob. Thank you, Bob, for putting in those hours. Over the past year, we've come a long way to achieve goals that were set by the City Commission. And while there were still many challenges, I'm proud of what we've accomplished together to position Bay City for a better future. And make no mistake, we are honored to have the most determined developers in Bay City, and they are surging forward with their projects. This past year, Shaheen Development invested $8.5 million in Phase 1 of Uptown at the corner of East Main and Saginaw Street for additional office space and attainable housing. Jennifer Acosta Development invested over $11 million in the legacy, bringing back the old Chemical Bank building to its original majestic foundation, which now features beautiful downtown residential apartments and 3 commercial spaces. The construction of a new pavilion, concession stand, and restrooms in Winona Park is a product of the contribution of $1.2 million from the Nicholas family, $1.2 million from grants, and $200,000 from the DDA. This project was coordinated and completed under the direction of Mike Baccigalupo. Tom Laporte acquired an obsolete property rehabilitation credit by investing $630,000 in the Laporte building for additional downtown living spaces. And Rod Hildebrandt and Matthew Meehan constructed a new co-working space, city office, in the lower level of the city market. This year, we look forward to the continued investment from Shaheen Development in the amount of $16 million for Phase 2 of Uptown, along with $7.3 million in public infrastructure, which includes the new M25 ramp into the Uptown development. 3 Missions, commonly known as North Peak Brewery, is investing $6.4 million into the former Steinhaus and Atrium restaurant. We're getting our first brewery. And lastly, 3 brownfield redevelopment grants were obtained from the DEQ in the total amount of $650,000 for the redevelopment of the Elks Club, the Bay Veterans Foundation Activity Center, which is going to be known as the Maker Space, and construction of 12 residential units at 1113 Center by Jennifer Acosta Development. I applaud all the investors who have faith in our city, but our work is not done. We have a city where growth is inevitable and desirable. Our Economic Development Department is currently working on becoming a certified redevelopment-ready community through the state of Michigan so we can attract and retain businesses, offer superior customer service, and have a streamlined development approval process. Our city budget included significant monies for infrastructure, including road improvement projects, continuation of the sidewalk projects, major water and sewer utility projects, and electric utility projects. This past year, we focused on improvements to sidewalks that have a direct route to our schools, making it safe for children who walk to school. We spent over $438,000 on sidewalks, which equates to 10,000 linear feet and 176 ADA ramps. Our street projects focused on First, Trumbull, Winona, Clara, and Dean with a budget of $1.1 million. One noteworthy project was a collaboration with Glen Rowley and Bangor Township by sharing the cost of street and water improvements on Winona Street. We've had so many successful projects in our city over the past year, adding to our vibrant riverfront living and quality of life. But we must continue to be committed to eliminating blight in our core neighborhoods. We're taking a stronger stance on nuisance violations by making changes to our rental and inspection programs and by instituting a vacant building registration and inspection program. We've hired an additional code enforcement officer to help address violations, such as yard maintenance issues, inoperative motor vehicles, junk, trash and debris, parking on the lawn, illegal dwelling units, and I could go on and on. I share this list with you because the majority of our enforcement issues are reported to us by residents. We need everyone's help to fight this issue and encourage you to report it if you see a violation. Over the past 2 years, we've had 6,336 nuisance cases. Let that sink in, that's 6,000 nuisance cases, which includes weed and grass complaints. Out of that 6,000, we currently have 652 active or open cases. We've demoed 22 homes. We've uncovered 624 unregistered rentals. We've sent 191 cases to court. We're proud to announce that of the cases that went to court, were all decided in the city's favor. We have a good partnership with the Bay County judges, as they have made it clear that blight will not be tolerated. In addition, this year, the Bay County leadership class has chosen to fight blight with us for their leadership project. Realtor Park, which sits at the base of Veterans Memorial Bridge, has long been forgotten and has been untouched for years. The class received $30,000 in matching funds from MEDC and upwards of $80,000 from a number of you who are sitting in this room, who support their endeavor of cleaning up the park and the installation of a new sculpture. I'm happy to announce for the first time that the city will be starting a new program this year entitled Brighton Bay Cities Neighborhoods, Team Up to Clean Up. This program will select specific areas of the city for potential cleanup and code enforcement sweeps. The sweep will involve our code enforcement staff, public safety officers, sanitation, citizens district council members, and many volunteers. Our committee will start meeting this month to select an area, complete a public relations campaign, including letters to all the property owners in the chosen area explaining the sweep. We're excited about our new program, Brighton Bay Cities Neighborhoods, Team Up to Clean Up, and look forward to making our city more attractive to all who don't live here and wish they did. Over the past year, the Public Safety Department has been brought up to full staff by hiring 7 public safety officers. They were successful in obtaining a State of Michigan CGAP grant in the amount of $245,115 to offset the cost of an aerial apparatus that we purchased with Hampton Township. I'm proud to say that our public safety has partnered with Michigan State Police Angel Program and Hope Not Handcuffs to provide assistance to people dealing with the opioid addiction. I feel we have the best public safety department in the state, a public safety department that gives citizens a peace of mind they need to enjoy the community in which they live and work. There's nothing more important than feeling safe and secure. As you're all aware, the city is faced with the bridge issue. I can tell you that the City Commission, with the assistance of city staff, is looking at every option available. This past year, OHM advisors conducted a community outreach, performed a traffic and safety analysis, and coordinated bridge condition and cost elements. We had over 500 responses for that public survey, resulting in very different options, ranging from maintaining the existing structures, removing structures, and constructing a new structure. Following the results of the OHM bridge study, the Chamber of Commerce conducted a poll regarding those specific options, and we'll be releasing those results soon. I'm certain the City Commission will have a plan in place by this fall. With that being said, I hope that people are open-minded and respectful to people's opinions, even when they don't agree with the outcome. The City Commission is looking at every avenue presented to us and are working to find a solution that is best for the city. All these projects have been done with a balanced budget, a budget that did not require the use of any monies from the city's reserve fund. Although the state economy continues to slowly improve, our city continues to face significant fiscal challenges. Even with the 2019 projected revenue sharing increase of $59,000 more than we received in 2018, it's still $570,000 less than we received in 2009, which is about a 22% reduction since then. However, due to hard work and dedication of City Commission and city staff, we continue to highlight ways to address budget gaps through cost-cutting measures and regional service sharing. You can rest assured the City Commission will continue to scrutinize and evaluate all programs and services in the hopes of improving efficiencies and identifying opportunities for cost savings. Last year, I'm sure all of you remember, I asked you to spread the good, positive news about our city. I think it's working. I often see many of you on social media correcting a wrong story, suggesting that a person become more involved, join a committee, volunteer, or just spreading the good positive news. People like Megan Saman, John Kaczynski, Matt Fallon, Don Paring, I think I've seen Bruce Falcon. All of you have corrected that I've noticed, and I'm sure many more of you have done it, but you've corrected some misinformation that might be out there about the city or the county, and we applaud you for that. Everywhere I go, I encounter a new sense of the can-do spirit. With your continued help and with the renewed commitment to public service, we can realize Bay City's unmatched potential. Over the past year, we've come a long way in achieving that new spirit. And while there are many challenges, I'm proud of what we have accomplished to position Bay City for a better future. Bay City is a great place to live and do business. Thank you for letting me be part of that.
Thank you, Dana. And I would ask Dana and Jim to go ahead and take a seat. And then I would like to introduce Mary Koulis. And again, Mary is Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy, and she's going to be moderating the question and answer period today. A reminder that you have note cards on your table, so please write a question and please indicate who you would like to direct that question to. And I know we have individuals who are happily picking up the questions, so I'll turn it over to Mary.
If you haven't already started to do so, please write down your questions. Those cards, as we indicated, are in the middle of the room and are in the middle of your table. So we want to make sure that you have any questions to things that are on your mind that may not have been touched on by Dana or Jim. I think they did a really great job in providing an excellent overview of the good things that are happening in this community, and I'd just like to give them a round of applause. Now, I didn't know if you knew this, but calories don't count on snow days. So if you so would like to, I'm sure that there's still some desserts in the back there in the hallway, so please feel free. Just little known fact. You're welcome. Okay. So, as a community, and I know, Dana, that you touched on this, and you did a really great job providing an overview of how many of the folks here are correcting some of the misunderstandings and statements and that sort of thing. But, you know, it always has been, historically been an issue with perception in our community and negative perceptions. And I know that one of the Chamber's strategic priorities was really to create a sense of place and building a unified vision through promotion. And to that end, one of the things that they did was launch with some community partners an e-newsletter called Route Bay City. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but if you're not, you can certainly subscribe to that newsletter. It's also on Facebook and Instagram. That's ROUTE, routebaycity.com. But it really highlights some of the really wonderful positive things that are happening in this community, and it profiles some of the people that are behind some of these creative things. I mean, I remember, Dana, you touched on the collaborative workspace that's taking place in the city market, which I think is very cool. They touched on that. So I just a question for both of you. What are you doing as leaders of your, as city manager and as county executive to really improve the perception of Bay City and Bay County?
I think you touched on it a little bit about Route Bay City, and we're trying to do the same thing. We are constantly going out and going on the social media and correcting the misinformation. And I like the touching of putting a person out there. You can really see what this person is about and explain what their jobs are and what we actually do as a city. I think we put a newsletter out that puts out information about our departments, but more importantly, I think that we just need to keep correcting that misinformation that is shared over and over again. I find myself getting frustrated when I see things out on Facebook. Usually the people that I mentioned have already attacked it before I could get to it, so thank you for that.
I would agree with Dana. As you know, Mary, we're also, along with the city, financial partners in Route Bay City. We think that's an excellent way to highlight some of the positive, successful projects we've undertaken and the impact of the community. I know it's with the published media that a lot of focus on crime and sports. A lot of the other stories don't have the adequate attention they deserve, to let people know about what we're doing. And so the county has the same challenge with citizens who are well-meaning and passionate, but sometimes not as informed about all of the facts as they should be. So we utilize Bay County TV, for example, to make sure that all of our committee meetings and board meetings at the county level are live streamed to the public, as well as run several times each week. So if someone doesn't have the opportunity to come down and participate in and listen to a county board meeting or Ways and Means or personnel meeting, that they will still be able to comment and know exactly, what the discussion was, what the agenda consisted of. And then, of course, with our website, county website, we also have a county Facebook page. So if I could at this moment, I'd like to, I neglected one thing. Bangor Townships was closed today. My grandson was with us, and Dalton Ashley is with me, came over with me this morning. Dalton, would you want to be recognized somewhere? Wherever he is. Oh, there. He's a great grandson, thinking about a naval career when he finishes up some of his education. And I know Dana introduced the family and the important family of her friends at City Hall. So I wanted to mention, in addition to the dedicated staff that Bay County has and the excellent county commissioners and their leadership and being part of everything we've accomplished, also thought I'd throw out the name of my grandson Dalton, because he's enjoying this and definitely wanted to come, and was delighted when he heard Bangor Township schools were closed.
Yet another day, right, Claire? This is a question actually for you, Jim. You mentioned a very concerning stat that 25% of the Bay County population is over the age of 62. What are the top 1 to 2 actions we're taking to attract and retain new and younger people to our county?
Well, we need to continue the support, the efforts of the city and what they're doing with downtown Bay City and uptown. All of that is transforming our image in the state and nationally. So that's very helpful about recruiting millennials. In fact, I think it was Trevor Keys or one of my other friends texted me, emailed me a message about Bay City is now a top spot for millennials to relocate to because of our affordable housing and our relatively good track record in public safety. But again, essentially, Mary, we need to create the jobs that will pay lucrative salaries and benefits that offer some form of retirement security, so that our young people, residents as well as non-residents, will plant themselves here, earn enough money to build a home, hopefully start a family and send children to our schools, because $9,200 grant loss for every student that doesn't enroll. And a lot of as our aging population takes a larger share of our population base, that is also a reflection that enough young people are not staying in Bay County, are relocating to Oakland County, Kent County, or out of state. So I briefly mentioned Delta College and how the ISD Career Center interacts with placing those students into various trades, from not just skilled trades, but healthcare, numerous positions in healthcare, entrepreneurship. We need to have every reason we can for a young person in Bay County to stay and become a permanent resident and not flee. We have to turn around the decline in our population. It's not devastating, but it's a trend. We want to turn that trend around, and developments like Uptown and all of the investment in the city waterfront is crucial to helping our image, as well as the job creation and the work experience that people will get out should they not be an owner or a high-end employee in the hospitality and dining industry.
Great, thank you. And this question is for you. Are there plans to fix up Carroll Park and repair the tennis courts? It's a beautiful area.
It is a beautiful area. We do have plans to fix the tennis courts. We are looking at putting money into the budget coming up. We're working on our budget right now. We've had a lot of requests for pickleball to replace those tennis courts, since the tennis courts have moved over closer to the high school. So we are looking at all the different options. Pickleball has been the rave lately, and I know we lack having some outdoor pickleball nets. We've also looked at maybe doing something like that over in Betts Park on the west side of the city, just so we can get that spread out a little bit, but we are looking at fixing up those courts. They do need some attention.
And Mary, pickleball is one of the more popular events for participation we have at the Bay County Community Center. I've never played it, but I know enjoys a lot of popularity.
That's what I've heard as well. This is for both of you. What do you see as the greatest opportunity for growth in our area? Dana, you want to go first?
I think the greatest opportunity for growth, and I see it in Uptown, in moving into the downtown, is having more of an all-inclusive neighborhood. And I say that about Uptown because, you know, you can live there, and there's restaurants you can go to, and shops you can shop at. It's like its own little community within a community. And downtown is the same thing. I think the younger people that like to live downtown, they like to walk. Our downtown and Uptown has a great success with walkability, and I think that is thriving right now to get people to be in those situations. So I think we're doing it already, and people enjoy that.
Yes, again, Mary, integrating our younger generations into good, lucrative positions is a huge help. Also, of course, all of the other projects that have been undertaken to make our city and our county more attractive. Whether it's enjoying our beautiful natural resources on our waterfront, or whether it is having the opportunities to engage with an IT company, and what we see out at, not just there, but across the county. We see some incredible growth in the 31 industries, for example, in the Valley Tech Park out in Monitor Township. Done an outstanding job, and we'd like to be supportive of them, Bay Future, and all of the other projects that the collaboration that I mentioned is working on. Again, I wasn't able to be at the ribbon cutting at the Falcon Industries last Friday. So I had a meeting here with Paul Ejekma, MDOT director. However, Chairman Duranchek represented Bay County there. We're standing over 100 people turn out. And this is one example of, again, of a brand new state-of-the-art industry, starting out with 50 jobs with plans to grow. And so we need to continue to be vigilant on everything we can do to promote Bay County in a positive light, and then for our economic development organizations to go the extra mile, which they have been doing. One other thing, we were kudos to Bay Future. We were this close to landing a 650 person facility out here, new company. It would have been the milk processing industry. We were in the final stages, the final days of running. Unfortunately, Clinton County came up with a 200-acre parcel for free, and that was just enough to tip the balance. And I want everyone to know that is not a failure. The fact that of all the locations they considered, Bay County and Clinton County was a 50-50 split on which one was going to land that. And I know that Kevin, Sherry, Megan, the entire staff, the board of directors of Bay Future worked diligently on that project. And sometimes it will be disappointing if we don't land it. The fact that we were in the running to be the last two sites selected, and then trumped by kind of a very, very generous offer of real estate that tipped it in their favor. But we were that close to having, again, another major success in Bay County in major job expansion.
Yeah, and kudos. I can actually echo what you say. Kudos to Trevor Keys and Megan with Bay Future. They worked very, very hard, and that would have been a great opportunity, but they worked super hard to make that successful, and sometimes things don't always work out. Okay, this is a question, I believe, for Dana. What is happening with the former Korak building?
Sure. I touched on a little bit in my speech. That is owned by Shaheen Development, and they have already gone out to bid to have that demoed. So probably in the next month, when you're coming over the bridge, it'll be gone. That's part of their new development that they're going to be putting there. We have plans to bring the M25 ramp down. You can kind of see the old road when you come down right now. and it's going to go directly into the Uptown project, which is big for Uptown. So it's going to draw people right into their area. But they are going to demo that soon, and then they'll start working on phase 2. We're going to do the infrastructure first, so the roads, you're going to see the roads going in. You're not going to see a lot of building happening right away, but the infrastructure will be first.
And it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Another question for you, Dana. Many of the blight cases come from people who don't have the means to address it. What can be done to help these people?
Well, part of our new program, for the SWEET program, that's what we're going to address. We're going to help the people that don't have the means. We're making that face-to-face talk with them. We're going to be there with them. We're going to help take things off of their property. We're going to remove it for them. So that's part of the SWEET. We're helping people that don't have those means. We see that every day in our city. A lot of people don't realize that having a couch on your front porch is blight. So we're slowly educating people on what's acceptable. We now have people that are calling in, on their neighbors for their backyard, and they might have a fenced-in backyard, but their neighbors can see it from their second story. So we try and help our residents, in a huge portion of them, obviously are renters. We have about 40-45% renters in the city of Bay City. So we have a lot of people coming and going in our city, and they don't know the rules because they're coming and going. So it's just part of us having to educate people on what blight is and how to take care of it.
Okay, this question is regarding the people that are on the corner of Euclid and Thomas that are soliciting for money. What can be done about that, or what is being done about that? Is that something within your span of control?
Unfortunately, it is not in the city of Bay City limits. It is outside of the city, and we have expressed our dismay because they sit right under the Welcome to Bay City sign. So that's the first thing people see when they go into our city. But that is something that's outside of the city and it's in the township. So unfortunately, our public safety can't address that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is actually for both of you. When will we have Governor Whitmer and the new MDOT director in Bay County to see our bridges firsthand? And they suggested perhaps at the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
I'm sure they will both be here for that. We are in talks right now with MDOT and with our state representatives to feel out the appropriate time when we can get in front of the governor. I think it's a wonderful idea to get her here to actually see what the issues are with our bridges. I know Jim has met with many people, federal and state, but we have been meeting with the MDOT office. DPW director has been meeting with him just to get a feel of when the appropriate time is. The governor obviously just got into office and she's being hit with many requests from different people, so we don't want to be one of those people. So we are just kind of taking a little bit step back and giving her time to get her feet. So.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. I personally met with William Crowley, who is the Special Assistant to President Trump intergovernmental relations, to explain the history and the financial condition of our county and city and the critical importance of infrastructure, and also to talk to him about whatever we can do from our region to encourage our members of Congress, both Senate and House members, that they would hopefully be supportive of a federal infrastructure package. In addition, I met with Paula Jegba, the MDOT director, and Governor Granholm to emphasize again the history and the fact that both bridges were built with a mix of federal, state, and funding initially back in the 1970s, when what you could get in infrastructure was much less or much more affordable than what we can get today. I believe Dana had mentioned to me, or the mayor did, the cost of demolishing one bridge in Bay City would possibly meet or exceed $25 million. So there's quite a strain on the affordability for our taxpayers of paying all these associated costs. In addition, of course, Gretchen Whitmer and also Christopher Mitten from the U.S. Department of Transportation. And so what I've done in preparation for trying to be helpful to the city once they make a decision is to lay the groundwork with some of the key federal and state legislators that will be helpful to our community. Now, Paul mentioned, just for the road infrastructure alone, to get away from that D-minus ranking or to rise from 46th out of 50 states in per capita spending on infrastructure would require annually a $1.5 billion addition each year to our infrastructure. He mentioned that he lives off a major trunk line in Oakland County. The name of the road escapes me at the moment, but you can probably Google it. The cost of rebuilding it, because it's gone beyond the point of repair, the cost of rebuilding that road, as a primary road in Oakland County, is $400 million. Last December, Oakland County approached the U.S. DOT in Washington, came home with a $98 million grant toward that. But that still leaves $300 million that locals or the state have to come up with to complete that project. So the $1.57 billion does not include bridges. So I know it's going to be controversial among the public. You as community leaders, I hope you will give thought to what is the best way, whether it's a long-term bonding proposal, whether it's a gasoline tax increase, whatever it might take to get our roads from D-minus up to a B or a better, which will facilitate economic development, aside from easing the tension and the cost that local motorists and visitors to Michigan have to assume when they travel on our roads. We've got some pretty terrible roads in the city and in the county, so we need help. Ideally, we should have a federal and state transportation infrastructure package passed, but it won't be easy. And if any of you can see your way clear to contacting our federal and state legislators about the conditions we face here in Bay County and we know across the state, that would be very helpful. Without new revenue, I don't see much changing.
Thank you. Ryan, how much more time do we have? Okay. Jim, this is a question for you. Very important topic. What progress has been made concerning the opioid crisis in Bay City and in Bay County? Are we any closer to treatment options?
Yes, thank you, Mary. A lot of research is happening, especially with Narcan, of course, that arrests the progress of the impact of opiates on the nervous system of the brain. One of the worst things is if you have an overdose of, say, cocaine or heroin that has included in it some fentanyl, 4 or 5 grains of fentanyl will take away all pain of a terminally ill cancer patient. If there's 8 or 9 grains in that cut, that stops the respiratory system, which can be revived with the introduction of Narcan. For our part at the county level, I and the Board of Commissioners authorized litigation because, as you know, here in the state of Michigan, pharmaceutical companies are immune from liability for the products they sell in our state. That status is only enjoyed by one state out of 50, and that's our state. So we need to look at internal, when we talk about border security, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, we had 540 or 450 pounds of fentanyl caught at a point of entry down on the southern California-Mexican border. That amount of fentanyl, which was produced in China, and this is synthetic fentanyl, would have been enough to provide 100 million doses across America, a very powerful stimulant that in reality can shut down your respiratory system and cause immediate death. So Bay County last year, as I mentioned briefly in the presentation last year, Bay County has filed a RICO statute because we're not able to hold pharmaceutical companies liable. We have ample evidence that Purdue, especially Purdue Pharmacy, actually rewarded doctors with large honorariums, free vacations, all kinds of perks for the number of fentanyl scripts and high-end opiates that they would prescribe to their patients. So the racketeering and organized crime had a lawsuit on behalf of Bay County, has been filed in the Western District, Federal District Court here in Michigan. And so we're looking forward to, along with the other lawsuits, Attorney General, Michigan has filed, and lawsuits across the country. In my opinion, it's not as much about collecting revenue as it is about getting a change in the practices and stopping what some of those pharmacies knew to be nearly fatal doses of these opiates, fentanyl in particular, being ingested, but also the highly addictive quality of those for a temporary pain issue where too many pills were being prescribed and then resulted in a very horrific addiction of that individual who then gravitates to cocaine, heroin, with the fentanyl cuts. And as I mentioned last year, 64,000 people lost their lives. That's almost 10,000 more in 1 year than lost all of the lives during the 9-year Vietnam war that we were engaged in the 60s and 70s. So it's a real serious problem. Cuts across all social and economic areas. You can be the son of a family that's millionaires, or you can be someone of a modest background. But it is taking a toll across our socioeconomic spectrum, and we have to deal with it as a nation. And the amount of product out there available, the ease of the availability, we're just going to continue to see more and more and more unnecessary deaths. And we've got to call a halt to it. And maybe our RICO statute will be litigation will be one small step toward accomplishing that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be our last question, and this is actually for Dana. Would you be in favor of asking the developer in building parking ramps?
Personally, I'm sure they're referring to probably downtown. I believe it's not a bad thing to have to search for a parking spot. That means our downtown is absolutely popular, and people are down visiting our shops and our restaurants. So I would not be in favor of asking for another parking ramp. I gotta believe developers probably aren't in favor of that either because they want to have brick and mortar. But uptown, they will have plenty of parking, and which will be accessible by our Riverwalk to get you to downtown. So personally, I don't think it's a problem to search for a parking spot 2 or 3 blocks away from your destination.
Okay, well, thank you very much to both of you for answering these great questions. Thanks to the crowd for asking the questions too. We really appreciate your participation. Go Tall Ships.
Go Tall Ships. Well, thank you, Dana and Jim, for being with us today and continuing to put yourselves in the line of fire at this event year after year. And thank all of you for being here today with us and braving the roads. The Bay Area Chamber of Commerce is able to advocate on community issues because of our members. It's all because of you that we're able to successfully advocate on your behalf. So a couple other things. I got a little bit of an insight on what it looks like to be a superintendent this morning. My phone started blowing up at 7 o'clock with, are you going to have the event? And I have to say, thank you to the superintendents for canceling school again today, because without you, my driveway doesn't get shoveled in the middle of the day. With that, it's going to be a rough week on the roads this week here in Bay County. Snow today, drifting tomorrow, and my 16-year-old daughter is getting her license Thursday, so be careful on the roads out there, folks. Thank you very much.